In this video, I'm going to be reviewing the XREAL One Pro XR glasses. And a lot of what I'm going to talk about will be of general interest to anybody, but in particular, I have very low vision. I have about 2200 vision, and so it'll be of interest to people that also have poor vision. These glasses can be connected to cell phones, laptops, game machines, and computers of any kind. So they're very versatile. An additional accessory that's sold for the XREAL One Pro glasses and also for the XREAL One glasses, another one in their line, is a XREAL Eye Camera. And so it's a little tiny camera that goes on the bridge of the glasses right between the two eyepieces. And it allows you to lock in the screen at a particular location so that you can walk right up to it and read small print on the screen. And everything I show in this video is assuming that you have that XREAL Eye Camera mounted in the glasses. And what it allows you to do is that it provides what's called 6 degrees of freedom. The glasses by themselves have 3 degrees of freedom, and they'll lock the screen in a location, but as you walk towards the screen, it moves away from you. So it's locked to left and right and up and down, but not front to back. So as you walk up to it, it moves away. With the XREAL camera, which is shown right in the middle here in the bridge of the glasses, that gives you 6 degrees of freedom, and you can walk right up to the display and read even a little tiny print on the screen. So that's where it's an advantage for people with low vision. Now this view of the glasses shows the assembly on the back side of the glasses that includes both the display, which is in the top part of the glasses, and then a prism that reflects the light from the display into your eyes. And you can see the back side of the XREAL Eye Camera in between the two lenses. The front lenses of the glasses have 3 levels of electronic dimming, referred to as electrochromic dimming. And the levels that they refer to them as is clear, focused, and immersion. On the XREAL One Pro glasses, there is 3 buttons. There's one on the top, which the XREAL calls the quick button. And when the glasses are connected to an accessory called the Beam Pro that I'll be discussing later, you click that once to take a still photo, and you click it and hold it for a few seconds to start a video. And so we'll be showing that a little later. On the bottom side of that same right-hand bow of the glasses is what they're referring to as an X button and a plus and minus button. And those have various functions in the menus, and also to lock the screen in place and jump back and forth between the screen moving with your head movements and the screen being locked into space. And so we'll go over how those are used later. Now in this next section, I'm going to cover connecting the XREAL One Pro glasses to a Galaxy S23 Ultra phone. And I picked this phone because it's the highest optical zoom at 10x of any phone on the market today. And it's an older phone that's about 3 years old now, so you can pick it up for about $450. I got this one on eBay for that amount, and it can go up to 100x for the digital zoom function on it, and it's actually fairly good even at 100x. So this scene is using that Galaxy S23 phone with its camera function zooming in on a bottle across the room from where I'm at. So you can see you can read really tiny letters. So for a kid in school, this might be a very useful tool for him to be able to see the board. And you can also use a free program called WeZoom that's an Android app, and it gives you additional functionality over the standard camera phone in that you can change colors. And it's not quite as good for the zoom capability, but the color function is something that certain eye problems can benefit from. And here I'm going into the settings menus, and you want to set the maximum zoom within that settings menu so it covers a wider range. And then you can also pick out color filters of various kinds and which ones you'll see as you click through the selections on the main screen. You can turn on and off certain color combinations you don't care about. So if I go back to the main screen now and we zero in on something, now I can click on that A button in the right hand side and show high contrast or inverted video or various color schemes that you might want to use for particular vision problems. So that gives you an example of what the WeZoom program can do. Now this scene is just to show you the impressive capabilities of this phone for zooming in, and it's combined with the glasses, so this view is what I'm seeing in the glasses as a really large screen right in front of me. And here I'm zooming in on a sign which is about 850 feet away. It's a dead-end sign 2 blocks away from my house. And you can even see, if you take a still photo, you get even clearer image than the video is a little bit jerky. So the stills come out really nice. Here I'm showing an example of using the glasses in Walmart and to see the signs that are over top the end of the aisles, which I normally can't read unless I'm right underneath them. And so this lets me read them from a long distance away. And here you can see that you can also use them for looking at labels on different items. And this would be particularly useful in like the freezer case where you can't get closer to the item. Here I could walk up to it and pick up the package, which is what I would normally do, but with the glasses I can zoom in on them from a distance. And you can see even fine lettering on the descriptions and the weights of the packages and all the other details. This section is just showing that you can read typical like 12-point font that you'd get in a letter of any kind. And so this is on a typical types page. When you connect the glasses to a cell phone like this Galaxy S23 phone, it'll first try and go through a tutorial, which I can't read at all. Had to muddle through that. As I would recommend that you get somebody else to help you get through that first initial training thing that shows you where the buttons are at. But once you've done that, then you double click the X button and you come up with this menu. Now I'm not able to read this menu in the glasses, and at this point you can't get closer to the image like you can later after we get some stuff set. The bottom item on this first menu that pops up, which is called the spatial screen menu, the bottom function is the spatial anchor, and that's what you have to turn on to get the screen to lock in space. So that's a critical thing, and you can get some help clicking that on. And then also the top two items are the screen size and the screen distance away from you. And when you click on those, then you can use the plus and minus buttons on the bottom of the bow to enlarge the screen and move the screen closer to you. And again, I can't read any of this text with my vision, so I ended up using a monocular to be able to see it, and I also got some help. What I would recommend is when you first plug the glasses in, have somebody else get you through to where you get to this point. And from here, I can actually see well enough to trigger that spatial anchor on. And once I do that, then I can get closer. Now, the menus themselves, you can never get close to those, so I can't enlarge them directly. I have put in a complaint to the XREAL. Hopefully they'll work on sizing some of that text up. Now, I ended up, to get through some of this, I ended up using a monocular, a 4-power monocular, but it's really awkward to try and get in and see through the lenses with that, so you're better off having somebody else help you if you can. Now here's the first view. Once I've got that spatial anchor locked in, here's what it looks like through the glasses. And so you can walk right up to the screen and see the text much larger. And here I'm just scanning around the main screen on the cell phone. And the reflection in the bottom doesn't really show up much when you actually wear the glasses, or at least they don't for me with my where they were positioned on my head. So they're noticeable in this image, but they don't really show up much when you're using the glasses. Now here I'm looking at YouTube, so I fired up the YouTube app, and I'm just walking up to the screen at that point. So I've got a virtual screen sitting in front of me, and I'm walking right up to it to where I can read all the detail. Now when you have the glasses connected to a cell phone and you click the plus minus button, you get this little menu that pops up that has 3 buttons on it. First one is for brightness of the screen. Second one is for that tinting, the electrochromic tinting levels, which there's 3 levels. And then the right-hand one is for volume. Now if you hit the X button twice, you'll end up seeing the main menu that I showed before, the spatial screen. And with that, you can then adjust the size of the screen and the distance away from you. And so this is being demonstrated here where I've clicked on one of them, and you use the plus and minus button to resize the screen and or to adjust the distance away from you. So that's being shown here. So now I'm working on the size of the distance from the screen. So for us, you typically, or for somebody with low vision, you typically don't want to bring it as big as you can and as close as you can. So this is showing where they've got the glasses are fairly translucent, and then you can walk up to the displayed video. In this case, it's a YouTube video, one of my own videos. And you can walk right up to it, walk around it, walk through it, and even look at it from the back side. So here I'm just showing that you can read all the text and get up as close as you need to be able to see. Now this view is demonstrating that you can walk right through the screen, and you'll also notice that the background gets darker. That's an automatic feature of the glasses where it darkens down whenever you're looking directly at the image. If you glance off to the side or tilt your head to the side, it'll end up getting lighter so you can see your surroundings easier. So here I walk through the display and back out the front. This clip is just trying to convey what it's like when you're actually wearing the glasses and you're seeing this nice big screen directly in front of you. So it's difficult to photograph I'm using another cell phone camera to take pictures of this. So it looks much better in the glasses. And now this is showing another feature that Samsung cell phones, the newer ones, have a function called Samsung DeX, which mimics a full desktop display. So you can have a bunch of different things running at the same time. So you can have a browser open and Netflix open and YouTube open all at the same time within the Samsung DeX feature. And I'm seeing all this within the glasses, and you can walk right up to it and read any of the small print that you need to. Now I'm going to cover a bunch of accessories that you can get for the glasses. And in this case, it's so that you can get power to it. So if you're going to plug it into your cell phone, it's going to tend to drain the batteries on the cell phone or whatever you've got it connected to that's battery powered. So this allows you, it provides an adapter that you can either use a charger to provide power to both the phone and the glasses at the same time, or any other thing that you've got connected, like a game console. Now, an additional adapter that can be really useful is an HDMI to what's called DisplayPort Alt-Out mode. And the DisplayPort mode is what the glasses are actually driven with. So anything that automatically puts that out, like the newer Samsung phones and the iPhones from iPhone 15 and higher, all put out the DisplayPort Alt mode. And so those don't need an adapter. But anything that puts out HDMI requires an adapter, and even some of the older iPhones, you have to first convert to HDMI and then to DisplayPort Alt. Now this shows a battery bank attached to the DisplayPort adapter, or the HDMI to DisplayPort adapter. And so that's a convenient way to have a portable system that you can take to a classroom or a lecture of some kind. And here I'm showing the iPhone 12 Pro Max connected through first through Lightning to HDMI converter, then through HDMI to the DisplayPort Out mode. So that then directly feeds to the glasses. So this is all powered by a battery bank now. Here I have a Canon high definition, so a 1080 by 1920 resolution, which is what the glasses can resolve. Camcorder, and this happens to have a 32 power optical zoom, so it's a pretty good system to use maybe in a classroom as well. The camcorder I just showed is a fairly old camera. This is a newer camera that's available today for about $240, and it has a 18x optical zoom. It's slightly bulky for carrying around to a classroom, but that's kind of what I envisioned using it for, would be to carry, backpack along with the glasses and be able to zoom in on class lectures and things. Now, if you want to use the glasses outside in direct sun, there is some third-party sources for shields for the glasses, either to completely cover the front so you get no light through, or to have it open in the front but covered around the sides. And so those are available through a third party, not directly through XREAL. Another third-party accessory that's available is colored frames that go around the glasses. The glasses have a removable front frame, and I actually accidentally popped that off trying to put on those sun shields. And so you can get these various colored shields if you would like to look more fashionable. Another accessory that I find useful is a handheld trackball, so this you can tie into the cell phone or to any other thing that takes Bluetooth connections for mice. And I also use a large pointer, so you can combine this with a large pointer and move that around. When you need to enter text, you'll end up getting a text box on the screen and in the glasses that you can move the mouse around and pick out the letters to enter like a search bar in Google. Now, another accessory that XREAL sells is something called a Beam Pro, and it's a phone-like thing, but it includes a 3D camera, so it's got two stereo cameras on it, and it also is then used as a pointing device for a virtual space where you can have two applications showing up in 3D space. Just like for cell phones, you can also get cases for the XREAL Beam Pro off of Amazon or other places. Now, the XREAL Beam Pro has two USB ports on the bottom of the unit, and the left one is for charging, and you can plug that in all the time while you're using it so the batteries aren't drained on the XREAL Beam Pro. The right-hand socket or USB connection is for the glasses to plug into. So when you first start it up, you have an Android 14 interface. And as you plug in the glasses, then you end up getting a display that's used as a pointer for the 3D views of everything. So within about 10 seconds of plugging the glasses in, you'll see this kind of a display that shows a whole series of dots. And this provides a spatial, what they call a spatial mouse or a trackpad, and you can have a vertical or horizontal trackpad, and those are, you pick out those three modes by the menu bar at the top, or the pull-down menu at the top. Notice also that there's a little house symbol down in the lower right-hand corner, so that's a home button, and later they use that for double tapping, or tapping and holding it, and it recenters the spatial pointer. So you'll see that in some later views of the screen. So here's that pull-down menu at the top of the screen that allows you to pick the spatial mouse, which that is uses the whole beam moving around to point to something, where below that the vertical and horizontal trackpad allows you to just move your finger with the beam stationary. When you click the double bar icon that's in the upper left of the Beam Pro screen, you get a flyout menu from the left that shows multiple settings and then also the trackpad related information. In the very bottom of that, if you scroll up on that menu, the bottom will give you the touch gestures that you use for the trackpad styles that use 1, 2, or 3 fingers and swiping motions to control everything. So it's useful to go look at those instructions. Nebula OS is the 3D software operating system that runs on top of the Android operating system, and it's what provides all the 3D capability that you see in these views. And it's also what's connected to the XREAL Eye, so that it's seeing all this background information of the back of the house and determining where in 3D space everything is relative to each other using that camera. And the pointer that's shown here is the XREAL Beam is generating that as I move my finger around. I'm moving to wherever I want to select an item. From the main display shown here, you can swipe down with two fingers and get a settings menu. And the critical thing here is there is again, a spatial anchor switch that needs to be on for everything to work right, as shown here, where you can walk up to the screen and look at it in detail. So that's the second item from the top on the right-hand panel. And so you need to toggle that on or get somebody else to toggle that on for you if you have poor vision. And once you've done that, then you can walk up to all of these things, with the exception of the error codes that pop up. Those are still small. What I've been doing with the error codes, since they're too small to read for me, is I take a video using the quick button on the top of the right bow, and then I can go look at them with the photo app or the video player app and zoom in on them or walk up to them to get a better view of them in those apps. So I've captured it with the video capture and then replay it so I can see it in more detail. Here I'm just moving around the different options in the settings screen. So this is the one you get to by sliding down with two fingers from the main menu. That is the what you call a launcher bar, where you can pick out different apps to launch. And so you've got a panel on the left that's kind of main controls for the tinting and other stuff. Now if I hit the home button, I go back to this main launcher main screen. And right now I'm seeing two apps in the background that are the two that are running right now. If I swipe up with two fingers, I see those apps that are running in the Android operating system, and any two of those I can pick out and display or work with. Here I've got the Play Store on the left and then Google Maps on the right. And right now I'm pushing and holding the home button to try and get the pointer to recenter on the main screen. Sometimes I'll lose track of it and need to recenter it to try and find the pointer. Here I'm resizing these, so you click on the outside edge of the app, like the title bar, and then that lets you resize it by sliding your finger down. To make it bigger and closer, you slide down and to the right. And here I'm looking through the different choices of settings, and you have the one you're going to want to be on most of the time is going to be the right one of that menu that locks it in place for the spatial anchor. And then right below that, you've got the three settings for the different tint levels. And so we've got clear, focus, and then immersion. And then below that, you have the brightness. Now, this recording doesn't show the brightness change, but in the glasses, it does change. And then below that, you have the volume control. And you can either use that or you can use the buttons on the side of the Beam Pro as a control for the volume. This clip is just to show that I was able to stand out. I'm light sensitive besides having poor vision, but I was able to stand in direct sunshine facing the sun. And the screen's definitely, the digital part of the screen is definitely bright enough to be easily visible. Now the background looks bright here, but in actuality, when you're using the glasses, I've got the electrochromic dimming on, so the background is quite dark, and then the electronic screens are nice and bright. And so it's nice and easy to see and use even outdoors. Here I'm going to demo something that's in the photo app that's on the part of the Nebula app, or Nebula OS system, and it's called memory space. And so what it does is display this giant array of photos of what's on the Beam Pro all around you 360 degrees, so you're standing in the middle of all your photos. And you can turn completely around, or you can do some swiping motions to spin them around you. And so here I'm turning completely 360 degrees around and showing the array of photos. The background again would be much darker when you have the tinting turned on. So here it's showing the background in my kitchen, but normally that would be very dark in the background. So it's just a fun feature. Now the next generation of glasses that's expected to be out in the next year or two is the Project Aura glasses, and those do two main things. They add a larger field of view, so when you look out, the width of the view that you have is expanded from 57 degrees to 70 degrees. And the other thing is these extra cameras. There's now going to be 3 cameras, the center one, which I don't know if that'll still be the XREAL Eye or something new. and then 2 cameras mounted in the bows. So this is what they're showing as the potential camera or glasses that will be coming out in the next year or two. And so those potentially you could wait for those, but I found that the 57 degrees is plenty acceptable for my use. If you have found this video useful, please like and subscribe.